Welcome to this webinar. My name is Tiziana de Harlez. I am the project manager of the MEDGEM project. MEDGEM is an EU-funded project that is working on the development of renewable energy and hydrogen in the MENA region and trade with the EU. Today we are going to talk about the first call for expression of interest that was launched from DG MENA from the TMED investment platform. I would like to introduce Nazanin Nejati, Policy Officer at DG MENA, who will give a presentation about the TMED. Welcome, Nazanin, and over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I don't know if you can hear me properly.
Yes.
Perfect. So thanks a lot. So happy to be here. And yes, as mentioned by Tiziana, I will be presenting what we call TMED. But first, before doing this, I will first try to provide some initial context into the work of DG MENA in general, and also how TMED fits into what we do. So as you may already be aware, last year in October, the Commission adopted the Pact for the Mediterranean, which sets out an ambitious strategy to strengthen EU relations with other Mediterranean partners. And at the heart of the pact, this pact is an investment agenda. And this agenda is delivered through Global Gateway, which is the strategy of the EU to contribute to narrowing the global investment gap through both public financing, but not only by also mobilizing private capital. So both public financing and mobilizing private capital. And under the pact priorities, priorities are supported through a range of different EU financial instruments, including investment grants, budgetary guarantees, technical assistance, but of course, besides the EU financial instruments, we also have policy dialogue with the governments. And these investments are implemented through what we call the Team Europe approach. So together with our partner financial institutions, such as EIB, EBRD, to just name a few, but also European development finance financial institutions. So in this context, and in line with the Global Gateway strategy, and the political framework, the Pact for the Mediterranean, we have launched the Trans-Mediterranean Renewable Energy and Clean Tech Cooperation Initiative, or TMED for short. So TMED was launched on the 9th of June during the European Sustainable Energy Week in Brussels. And TMED is one of our key flagship initiatives under the Pact for the Mediterranean. And its core objective is really to scale up investments in renewable energy and clean tech across the southern Mediterranean. And as we all know, in today's geopolitical context, with how fossil fuel volatility affects our economies, industries, but also citizens, its relevance has become even more evident. So why the Mediterranean? Well, TMED is built on a simple reality. We know that the Mediterranean holds a very significant renewable energy potential, especially in wind and solar. But at the same time, we see that the percentage of renewables in the energy mix of the region is still very low. So this is a bit conflicting because we also predict that the electricity demand in the region is expected to rise sharply in the coming years in the region. So the question is not whether the potential exists, but how we unlock it and turn this potential into concrete, bankable, and mutually beneficial investments. So through TMED, we intend to deliver what we call a triple win. So a win for our partner countries. So this would mean more investments, jobs, skills, and industrial developments. So for a win for both shores of the Mediterranean, so for the EU and partner countries, it would mean affordable, diversified energy and strengthened competitiveness. And a win for the planet through the acceleration of decarbonization, through renewable energy, green hydrogen, and clean technologies. So how do we plan to achieve this? Well, at the core of the TMED initiative is the TMED investment platform. And the platform will bring together key stakeholders around a structured investment pipeline. Its objective is simple. It is to identify strategic projects and help them move towards financing and implementation. So the platform is built around two main functions, as you can see on the slide. The first is project identification. So we will source projects from partner countries, so from their public tenders, for instance, from the pipelines of our financial institutions, as well as from project promoters selected through dedicated calls for project proposals, which I will present in more detail after. We will be focusing on projects where EU private sector plays a key role, and we will also give particular attention to projects that generate positive externalities, so including skills development, long-term employment, and technology transfer opportunities, to just name a few. The second function of the platform is financial structuring. So different projects require different financing solutions. This is clear, and the platform will help connect the identified projects with three sources of capital. So notably EU financial instruments, but also financing from our implementing partners, as well as private capital coming from private investors that will also be selected through a transparent call for private investors. So overall, the TMED initiative aims to mobilize up to 25 billion euro in expected investments by 2035. We have an ambitious financial envelope with currently more than 5 billion euro in EU guarantee capacity under this current European financial cycle, so what we call MFF, multi-annual financial framework. And we expect, of course, other financial support to follow in the next budgetary cycle. Since the TMED initiative spans from today onto 2035. So this slide shows the broader TMED ecosystem. The investment platform sits at the center of TMED, but we know that financing alone is not enough to accelerate the deployment of renewable energy and clean technologies in the region. This is why around the platform, we are building an enabling ecosystem that helps projects move from concept to implementation to become bankable. And this includes regulatory acceleration to improve investment conditions. We also have infrastructure planning and system modernization to ensure that renewable energy can be integrated efficiently. We will also have skills development, so focusing on investments that create local jobs and local value. This is crucial for sustainability of such sectors in the region. And last but not least, clean tech industrial partnerships that will help connect European and local companies and facilitate trying to strengthen value chains, basically. So to get taken together, these four dimensions help create the conditions that make projects bankable, attract private investments, and also maximize impact. So TMED is already taking shape through what we call pilot projects that illustrate very concretely our strategy. In Egypt, for instance, we are supporting one of the largest energy infrastructure operations in the region, which is the modernization and expansion of the national electricity grid. The total investment size is 1.6 billion euro, and the project will strengthen Egypt's capacity to integrate renewable energy into its grid. It will support the country to reach its renewables target by 2030. It will also create major opportunities in tenders for European companies. Another strong example is the Ain Sokhna green ammonia project with a total investment value of 575 million euro. The project will develop a 100 megawatt electrolysis facility to produce renewable hydrogen for green ammonia production in Ain Sokhna, Egypt. So in this particular project, Europe is the main export market. And more importantly, the project is also expected to create nearly 1,000 jobs during construction and as well develop new industrial skills and value chains in Egypt. So such examples show really the added value of what the type of project and also as well how Team Europe approach could deliver on such policy priorities, because they combine EU grants, EU guarantees, and other de-risking instruments, as well as financing from partner financial institutions, as well as technical assistance and private capital. And they all bring these instruments together into a coherent investment that creates local added value as well as added value for the EU. So to mobilize and mobilize support for other similar projects and to identify them, we have launched two calls for expressions of interest. The first call is for private investors. It was launched in late April and was extended recently until 1st of July, so this week. The focus is on European private investors active in TMED sectors. And by private investors, we mean commercial banks, impact funds, asset managers, and so on. So what is not our traditional financial partners, basically. We expect to receive around 10 to 15 applications through this call based on our market intelligence. And to identify project proposals, we launched a call for project promoters on 9th of June, so during the launch of TMED. The call focuses on EU, EAA-based companies. This means that we expect that the real legal seat of the company is located in an EU or EAA country. And by real legal seat, we understand, it should be understood that the place where the company is managing its board, where its central administration is, or its principal place of business is located. So that's what we mean by real legal seat. When it comes to investment and its size, we are looking for a minimum ticket size of 300 million euro. So we are looking at projects that have a certain scale, as other initiatives already support a smaller scale projects. So with TMED, it's really we're looking at projects that have a certain scale, which is why we have set a 300 million euro minimum ticket size. We also expect that the project promoter has an envisaged own equity participation of 20% or more in the total cost of investment. So this is in line with market practices, and usually it's even higher, but we put it at 20% to be more open. As mentioned previously, we are looking for projects that are aligned with the EU's policy priorities. And in this case, of course, the projects should be aligned with the TMED initiative, as well as European economic security and EU competitiveness. And the text that you have, for you to have more clarity on what we are really looking for, the text of TMED can be found on our website, which will give you a very more detailed overview of what we're looking for. And other elements that we'll be focusing on will also be, of course, the financial readiness of the company. And by this, we mean the track record of the company of having similar operations in MENA region, but not only, it could also be in another region, as long as there is proper track record. And we are also going to look at the impact the project has on local value creation, on sustainability impact, as well as other criteria. You will find more guidance on what we're looking for on the calls publication. There's a section that's called guidance for submission, and we believe that you'll find more answers there. But overall, both of these calls will feed into the upcoming TMED investment platform. And we foresee the first operational meeting of the platform in October this year. So I hope that it was clear, and you can scan the QR codes, which will bring you to the TMED website, where you can access the calls, but also the fact sheet on TMED, as well as the more integral text of TMED. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Nazanin. It was very clear. And we are now going to pursue with the deep dive on this call for expression of interest towards the European promoters. And this will be done by Frank Wouters, MEDGEM Director. Over to you, Frank.
Yes, thank you, Tiziana. It is, of course, my pleasure to be with you here today and do indeed a deep dive. Let me just start by giving you a quick overview of the MEDGEM network so that you know whom you're listening to. Tufik, if you can give me the second slide. I mean, the MEDGEM network is funded by the European Commission, and our aim is to work very closely together with the southern Mediterranean countries. At the moment, we're active in 9 countries, Algeria, all the way to Tunisia. And the aim is to create and operate a network that focuses on green electricity and molecules, molecules being hydrogen and its derivatives. We provide a platform for stakeholders to come together and debate. We interact with both the public and the private sector, and they tell us basically what the needs are and what we should do. And in the end, you know, what we want is a thriving new economy. We want industrial development in the southern Mediterranean countries, but also deployment of European tech and offtake in Europe and everything that is associated with the development of this sector and the development of the region. This is the team. We got a great team, fantastic people that have been with us from the outset. In addition to the core team, we also tap into a pool of non-key experts. We have national focal points in the member countries, but also experts that you know, provide input on certain elements such as finance or infrastructure. Everything that is very specific, we get support where needed. Next. And we focus on a number of things. We just had this morning our steering committee. It's you know, twice a year we sit with the countries and you know, see where the needs are, what we should do next. We look at policy, regulations, technology, and industry, guided by our industry advisory board. We focus on infrastructure, finance and investment, and communication and awareness is very important, of course. Next. Now let's get back to the call for expressions of interest, the topic of today. As Nejati already mentioned. It basically touches on a number of things. The EU Global Gateway philosophy is the vision that underlines the TMAD initiative, but the actual vehicle is the platform, and the main aim is not just to mobilize public money, but in particular private capital. And that is what is currently, just one back, is leading this call for expression of interest for project promoters, people that have project ideas, and as was already said, they need to be sizable, upwards of 300 million euro. Next. The strategic imperative is, a number of things, and they all come together. What we're seeing, in addition to climate action, which is of course something that is important, is economic security, industrial growth, but also, and this is certainly something that we've seen in the last 6 months, peace and stability. The fact that we're going to be less dependent on a very small footprint of where resources come from. The additional optionality, having renewables from a broader group of countries is important for also for peace and stability. Next. And this is the target investment zone. It's basically the Mediterranean basin, Morocco all the way to Syria, I think that's very clear. Next. And we look at a number of things. We look at renewable energy projects, but also transmission and distribution, and the production of hydrogen and its derivatives, and lastly, certainly not least, clean tech manufacturing. So how can we also support industrial development in southern Mediterranean neighborhood? And these are some of the steps, and you don't have to, hurry up writing all of this. We will make the presentations available to you. So these are some of the steps that lead to, the notion of eligibility, your corporate status, as was already mentioned, nationality, leadership, integrity, and exclusions, and then registry compliance. And that, determines whether you're eligible to submit. It's relatively straightforward, but it's all in the details of the call for expressions of interest. Next. And, again, 300 million is the target minimum size of the projects, and at least 20%, equity ownership by the project promoter. Next. And if there is a lot of repetition, that is actually with a purpose. As you know from education, there is a lot of power in repetition. So the evaluation framework is that we look at these 4 elements. Is there strategic alignment with, the Pact for the Mediterranean, with TMAD, etc.? What's the impact? The financial readiness of the project is, of course, very important. And, the environmental sustainability along the lines of, EU taxonomy, ESG standards, etc., etc. And all 4 pillars need to be addressed, and there will be a quick deep dive on the following pages. So the policy alignment, obviously we do not want a significant harm, so do no significant harm principle is important, but we will also look, or the Commission will look at supply chains and critical infrastructure, the added value and technology origin of the European Union is important, and then of course alignment with the country's national development goals. Now on the ground, we do look at direct and indirect job creation, whereby we will not forget youth and gender balance. We will look at fair labor conditions. At least the ILO core standards will have to be met. Local SMEs are important. They're the bedrock of the industry wherever you go, but they are very often forgotten. And we look at education standards, technical vocational education and training, and higher education partnerships will be taken into account. Next. In terms of bankability, these are relatively straightforward. You look at the applicants' track records, the maturity of the proposed project, then you need some level of experience in investment needs and the scale, and then the evidence of capacity to mobilize private capital and potential co-financing. So is it a financially sound project? Is it bankable? Environmental safeguards are that we look at national international standards, EU taxonomy, ISO 14000, IFC performance standards. Everything that needs to be met. But we also then look at what's the evidence base for that. And the environmental resilience focuses on efficient land and water use and biodiversity protection. And these are some examples of projects that you could imagine that could fall under this TMAT platform. And again, these are just examples. This is certainly not exclusive, but it gives you a bit of an idea. And what we're seeing could be a combination of large-scale solar plus connected storage, so that you have, and these are again just numbers for the sake of showing 1.2 gigawatts of solar and 2 gigawatt hours of battery. So you have almost 2 hours of battery storage to stretch into the early evening peak, and the strategic rationale will be to provide grid stability and large-scale decarbonization because you're replacing fossil fuel generated power. Cross-border high voltage DC cables could be thought of as part of energy transmission and regional interconnection. But then in the making industry, solar components, gigafactories could be something very worthwhile, whereby you look at the local industrial capacity and supply chain resilience by having actually local manufacturing in the countries where we like to see development. Of course, green hydrogen and ammonia are part of, we already saw the Ain Sokhna large-scale green ammonia project in Egypt. That is certainly part of what we like to see. And then ESAF, which is basically sustainable aviation fuel made from green hydrogen and eventually direct air captured CO2. But in the meantime, you can also do it with biogenic or other CO2 to feed into the fast-growing aviation sector, both in the Mediterranean area, but of course also in Europe. And there is a number of other things that people could consider: offshore wind, hydrogen-ready pipelines, desalination linked to hydrogen, and smart grid modernization. I mean, these are all part of the scope of TMAT. Next. And these are again some examples that were part of the last slide: utility scale solar battery connected with batteries, or a cross-border high voltage DC interconnector. Next. Solar gigafactory, already mentioned, the green hydrogen and ammonia for export. Of course, also where possible and feasible, local consumption, and ESAF, which is something that Europe needs in actually in the short term. By 2030, there's a 1.2% quota for ESAF in the European Union that already requires a few of those large-scale production facilities. So that is a near-term market opportunity that could be developed under the TMAT platform. Next. I don't think I'll go through all of this. These are more procedural things, how to apply. Next. And the timeline to action is that we, there's a Q&A phase, then the call closure is on the 15th of August. Then there will be an internal assessment based on the 4 evaluation pillars. And, within 45 working days, there will be feedback. Next. Yeah, last but certainly not least, you know, the MedGem network is preparing for a matchmaking event in December, and you know, we do not expect you to respond immediately during this call, but we would you know, like to you know, fine tune this event with you, with your input. So please let us know if you have strong views on, for example, the type of companies that you would like to meet. You know, the kind of setup. Is it something that you would like us to prepare? Would you like to have a speed dating, you know, kind of event? There is many options. We will make some suggestions, but very open to constructive feedback. Location, you know, is it Brussels? Is it going to be Barcelona? Are there strong views? Shall we go to, you know, somewhere in the southern Mediterranean neighborhood? All of these will be, you know, have to be decided by us fairly soon. But again, you know, we're open for constructive feedback, and let us know. We will have a virtual event in, I think it was October or September?
Virtual event.
In September, October?
October.
Thank you, Tiziana. In October, we'll start, and that's a prep event for a physical, you know, live event in December, which will be the last event of this phase of the MedGem network. And of course, you know, we hope that many of you will be there, and that will, you know, also feed into the entire TMED platform. With that, I think I've come to the end, and you know, we now have the opportunity for you to ask questions that you may have. Again, if you know, if you you know, have offline questions, the door is always open. So please feel free also to send us emails. But we are available right now for questions. So do share them with us in the chat.
Thank you very much, Frank. We can already start with a question from Santiago. Santiago, would you like to raise your question? And maybe introduce yourself as well.
Yes, hi, Santiago Garcia Herreros from Inicio. I had two questions. I think one of them was already answered, but I'll ask it again for everybody. I was asking whether there was a minimum project maturity level expected in order to participate in this expression of interest, and whether there's a specific project timeline required, a COD date by a certain moment in time, for instance. And the second question is regarding whether taking part in this expression of interest is a requirement for participating in future stages of the call.
Thanks a lot, Santiago. So as I mentioned in the chat, we are looking at different project stages, including early stage projects, and I recommend that you to really give you a better idea of the type of questions and the type of projects that we are looking for. I recommend that you open the EU survey, like click on express your interest, and you'll see the type of questions that we ask, and this includes the stage of your project, so from pre-feed, feed, or procurement and constructions. And we do ask you to give an envisaged date for final investment decision, as well as envisaged start of commercial operation. As I mean, it has to be early stage, but still quite a bit advanced when it comes to these things, at least when it comes to the planning. As for your second question, I'm not sure if I understood correctly, but this call for expression of interest, as I mentioned, will help you. So if you express interest, it will help you potentially, it will help your project potentially to be discussed at the TMED investment platform. And for the moment, we have not foreseen another call, like the date of it, but of course we do plan on launching future calls, but we do not have a date foreseen for that, since yeah, we will also have to look into the lessons learned of this first call and see where it gets us, basically. So I do recommend that you look at the EU survey and that you express your interest if the eligibility criteria meet your project. Thanks.
Thank you, Nazanin. Does this reply your question, Santiago?
Yes. Just to clarify on the second part, I was just looking at one of the slides shared, and it mentioned that this is an intelligence gathering and facilitation call, not a formal funding mechanism. So I just thought a more formal call would come in the future, as part of the funding mechanism, but perhaps is not the case.
So I would just like to mention something very important. So this call is a formal process. However, it's not it doesn't have a formal funding attached to it. So this call does not entail any financial commitment from the European Commission or its partners. And yes, it basically, you will have the opportunity to have your project being discussed and presented during the investment platform. And at the end of the day, the Commission does not take such financial decisions, as we are not bankers. And the projects that we support have to be supported by our financial implementing partners. So they have to be bankable and meet the Commission's policy priorities, and in this case, TMED and the other ones we mentioned in the call, in order for the project to be supported by with EU funding. So I want to make this clear, and this has been specified in the call itself, in the publication of the call.
Thank you.
Yeah, and maybe, I mean, that's sort of the definition of an expression of interest, right? I mean, of course, it's a formal part of a process, but it is that. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, we have a question in the chat from Clara Furlan, asking if the total size investment criteria of 300 million euros is applicable to hydrogen production projects, and the answer is straightforward, is a yes. Do we have any other question in the room? Yes, Pendali, please present yourself as well.
Yes, hi everyone. Thank you for the interesting presentation, Nazanin. Just two questions. The first one, if you can elaborate on the 20% equity part of the eligibility criteria. I remember reading that in the slides.
Yes, so the applicant has to have 20% own equity participation envisaged. Of course, when it's pre-feed, you do not yet have the 20% own participation, equity own participation in the total cost of investment, but it has to be part of your financial plan, basically.
Mm-hmm. And my second question, so this is open to EU-based companies that are leading a project. And what about national companies within Southern Mediterranean countries that, could be junior partners in a consortium? What role would they play, and what kind of support would they expect?
So yes, this first call is first open to European, so EU and EAA-based companies. And in the case where the project is being carried out by a consortium, the leader of the consortium must be also EU EAA-based. And so the national companies that are part of this consortium, of course, will ultimately be able to participate in the project, but the lead has to be an EU EA-based company. And that's why we say that this is a first call. In the future, we do envisage launching calls that also directly include national partner countries, companies, national companies from partner countries. Voilà. I hope this is clear.
Yes, very clear. Thank you.
Thank you very much to both of you. Do we have any additional questions? This is the time, so don't hesitate. Yes, Hadi, please introduce yourself before.
Thank you. Thank you, Tiziana. Hadi Abu Musa, Senior Energy Engineer at the Lebanese Center for Energy Conservation, so in Lebanon. And thank you, Nazanin, also for the presentation. Just a small question about the type of projects or applications, whether it could be a financing mechanism. So, for example, an EU financial institute or developer or investor, that would it be possible that they could benefit from this investment platform to finance a mechanism prepared to support renewable energy projects through subsidized loans or grants or etc., or it has to be direct implementation or direct projects?
So thanks a lot for your question. When it comes to this call specifically, we're looking at project proposals, and what you are proposing, it doesn't really, at least from my understanding at the moment, doesn't really fit what we're looking for. However, we may have other programs and initiatives that could be, that could fall into what you're looking for. So I do recommend that you do contact our our functional mailbox in order to see how we could perhaps forward your email to the relevant colleagues.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have questions in the chat. First one is from Eric Festa. Will the platform guarantee confidentiality of the specifics of the projects?
Yes. So when it comes to the projects that will be presented at the TIMET investment platform, this will be only done with approval of the project developer, of course, and to the degree of details that the project developer is comfortable with. So a lot of so before anything goes to the investment platform formally, a lot of the work will be done upstream and beforehand among what we call the TIMET secretariat team, as well as the project developers, promoters that have been selected. And the same will be done as well with the private investors selected. So when it comes to the confidentiality, yes, we do. It will be respected, but of course, we do have a privacy statement attached to the EU survey that you can look more into, as the Commission does have certain rules when it comes to internal access to documents, so within Commission services. But this is more for internal process than anything else.
Thank you. I hope this replied the question. We can move to the next one from Clara Furlan. Regarding the questions about the timeline asked in the EU survey, are there selection criteria? Do you have maximum date for FID or COD?
So, question about timeline. Yeah. No, it's not really a maximum. So it's not a minimum or maximum date. It's more for you to provide information on your project. And they are not part of the selection criteria. The only, so when I say selection criteria, it's, I mean, eligibility criteria, basically, because this call will also allow us to see what type of pipeline is out there. It will give us more visibility, and the FID or COD could be at a later date than certain other, like other projects, let's say. So it's not really part of the selection criteria. And as I mentioned, if you go into the EU survey, you'll really see what we're looking for into more detail. But it's okay if your project is early stage, but of course you do have to like other criteria, not other assessment criteria come into play, such as your financial readiness, track record, and so on. So the project needs to make sense still.
Thank you very much. The next question is from François Bertrand. Is it possible to bundle several renewable energy plants with similar characteristics under a single legal entity to reach a 300 million investment threshold?
I mean, if this is a bit, if the projects, this is not really what we're looking for. And it depends if the projects are all situated in the same area, for instance, and they have been bundled to make it more like to have more visibility, let's say, on the project, or if it has phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, like it depends really. But this is not really what we're looking for, I believe, but it all depends on how the project is structured.
Thank you very much. If you have further questions, Mr. Bertrand, don't hesitate to raise your hand on this. The next question is from Anissa Moula. For future TMED calls, is the Commission considering expanding eligibility to non-EU EEA entities?
For future calls, we do have this in mind. So from partner, so from national companies from partner countries more specifically, or other countries that are strategic for us and that we see are very present in the region, for instance. But from the pipeline that we've seen so far, we do see a lot of consortia, projects that are led by consortia, and I think for this first exercise, this is why we kept it more limited, basically. But we do foresee expanding the eligibility criteria to other to companies from other parts of the world.
Thank you very much, Nazanin. We have someone who raised your hand, so you take a little break. Joseph, can you please introduce yourself and before asking your question? Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Tiziana. Joseph El Assad from the Lebanese Center for Energy Conservation in Lebanon. My question was putting a, let's say, a minimum ticket of 300 million. Wouldn't that be more suitable for infrastructure or wind project rather than solar project? So I think that that's somehow penalizing for solar projects, especially that the largest number of solar projects are between 50 and 100 megawatts, so within the range of, let's say, less than $100 million. So did you take that into consideration? Hence, the question of bundling the projects together from the previous question from my colleague, I think.
So when it comes to more, let's say, so basically this is in line with what we are looking for. So this specific ticket size is really in line with what we're looking for, as well as what we have been seeing. So the type of pipeline that we see out there and that are interesting for us. And when it comes to solar, so traditional generation from solar PV panels, we already have other type of initiatives that supports smaller scale projects. So when it comes to the TMED investment platform itself, we are focusing on a certain scale because we are going to bring private investors as well as our IFIs together. But when it comes to traditional renewable energy generation projects from solar, our IFIs already support them, for instance. So, or we have other programs already supporting that. So it's just in this setting, we are looking at a certain scale. So it's not to penalize solar per se, but it's more in line with the TMED investment platform's objective.
Great, thank you. I saw a thumbs up, so I think it's clear. Moving on back to the chat, we have a question from Lourdes Hernandez Ramos. Hello, during the presentation, a target of 2 gigawatts of electrolyzers was mentioned. Is this a mandatory minimum requirement or a desirable capacity? I believe it was an example, but I'll let you maybe confirm.
Yes. I mean, from the Commission side, no, this is not anything mandatory. I believe this was I believe fictional example given by MedGem, so that it's better illustrated. But the two examples that I gave, the pilot TMED projects that I mentioned, these are the type of projects, for instance, that we are looking into, and it should not necessarily be 2 gigawatt or so on. And you will see this if you look at the EU survey. We are not asking a minimum amount when it comes to this.
Thanks for confirming. And then we have a question from Diego Villanova. Can you give us examples of private investors you have in mind to talk on the approved projects?
So as I said, private investors, so I'm not going to give names, but the ones that we're looking for, since it's European private investors, and European, in this case, we are looking at the European continent. So it's more the non-traditional, let's say, partners, financiers that we do not work with currently, or we work with indirectly. So this includes European commercial banks, impact funds, asset managers, pension funds. So yes, and you can, if you're curious, you can go, the call is still open for private investors. You can go and look at the criteria of that call to see what type of players we're looking into.
Thank you very much. Maybe I can ask one of my colleagues in the call to drop the link to this call in the chat so people have the reference directly. For the next question from Mustafa Taoumi, if promising project proposal received through the TMED calls for project proposals are not yet mature or bankable, could you please clarify whether such proposals may still be channeled towards targeted technical assistance under the facility?
I mean, when it comes to bankability and so on, this is something that our financial implementing partners will really look at. But so it really depends the type of assistance that you still need, technical assistance, and it depends the type of support already your project has or not. Yes, we do have technical facilities that are available, but they are managed by our financial implementing partners. So everything is, so such support is linked to their judgment, basically, of finding a project interesting enough or not. But I mean, I do encourage you to still apply because the details of what you're asking matter.
Thank you, very clear. And the next question from Toon van Inkelgem. Are projects across Morocco eligible or is link to Mediterranean required?
I'm not sure if I understand this correctly. So projects in Morocco are eligible, and projects with cross-border links to the other shore of the Mediterranean, so the EU, are also eligible. if you can perhaps take the floor. So,
Dawn, are you with us?
Of course, if you look at Morocco, you have the Mediterranean coast, and you have the Atlantic coast. So I was just wondering whether there has to be kind of a link with the Mediterranean. Probably it's between the name Team Med. So that's why I just tried to get that confirmed.
no, I think if the project is in Morocco and also is linked to the Atlantic, I think it's fine as long as they meet the other criteria in the call and objectives in the call. It's just that our DG focuses on the Mediterranean, so we did have to come up with a name.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Also very clear. Next question is from Ziad Tarek. Can you elaborate further on the intelligence gathering nature of the call and the benefit to project developers from having the project discussed within the TMET framework?
So when it comes to, as I mentioned, this call is not funded, and it doesn't include, it doesn't entail any financial commitment from the Commission or its financial partners. But the objective of this call is really to build a strong pipeline of bankable and impactful investment proposals. And it's also to understand, so through this, the proposals that we'll receive is also to understand existing project constraints or needs. Sometimes a project is let's say bankable, but still needs some political push, or it has the political push, but it doesn't have the necessary financing, for instance. So through the investment platform and through us bringing together all key stakeholders, we believe that projects can move towards investment, basically towards investment decision. So this is why we do see this as this platform as with potential, basically, because it will act as a overarching coordination mechanism at the highest level in the EU, and we basically can support the project that meet the call's objectives with the highest support, basically political, and perhaps if deemed relevant by our financial partners with the right financial support as well.
Thank you. Indeed, the more information, the better the decisions. A question just from Hikma Bashgur. First, I will just give a bit of context. In the MEDGEM project, we have built industry advisory boards, which is a board composed of industry associations active in the renewable energy sector throughout the partner countries. And we have a question on behalf of a Moroccan IAB member. Will selected projects benefit from preferential access to EFSD Plus guarantees, other EU risk-sharing instruments, or blended finance mechanism?
As I mentioned in my presentation in the beginning, the investments in the MENA region and also other regions can be supported by EU financial instruments. So this includes investment grants, budgetary guarantees, and also technical assistance. But at the same time, the European Commission relies on its implementing financial partners. So this includes international financial institutions as well as European development financial institutions such as IFDIC, FW, CDP, and they are responsible for bringing us bankable projects basically, and telling us that the project is bankable, and they are also responsible for the due diligence of projects. So if they deem the projects to warrant such type of support, then the EU, and of course, again, it fits our policy requirements and objectives, then the EU would be ready to support the project with potential financial potential financial instruments such as the FSD Plus and other de-risking instruments. But I just want to make this clear that we are not bankers. The decision will be in the hands of the actual banks.
Thank you. Very clear. The next question is from Ferdi Shalik Pratama. I am currently expanding clean tech manufacturing and industrial scale biomass routing to the UAE free zone. Does the TMED investment platform facilitate projects with this trans-regional supply chain profile aimed at supplying the Mediterranean and European markets?
I mean, depends. Does your project also have some presence in the other MENA regions that are actually eligible under the call? It depends on the route of the project, for instance. But currently, the UAE free zone is not part of, so it's not eligible under the TMED investment platform, because our development policy focuses on developing countries, and UAE is considered as a high-income country, so we cannot operate there. But we do have political cooperation, of course, with the Gulf countries.
Great, thank you. Next is the link towards the expression of interest for private investors, I believe. Is it?
No, this is the project promoters.
Yeah.
I will put the link for private investors.
So that we can fully reply to the questions asked before regarding the type of private investors that could be linked to such partnership. Great. Now, based on the yes, please.
So my colleague just Milou, who is online, just mentioned, so just gave me more information on potential technical assistance. So we are actually setting up the TMED facility, which will have a budget of around 8 million, and it will have the possibility to offer technical assistance for as well as for some of the regional energy projects that so it can offer technical assistance, but we'll also have other regional energy projects that will also be able to benefit from some assistance. So yes, so but I believe that Milou has more information on the type of technical assistance that we can offer, as when it comes to the feasibility studies and so on. Of course, this is more in the realm of the type of support that is offered by our financial implementing partners, given the scale and investment size, basically. I don't know, Milou, if you want to jump in.
Yes, thanks, Nazanin. No, indeed, because there was a question if there is a possibility under TMED to also benefit from some technical assistance. So that's why I wanted to just highlight that we are also looking into that. When you saw in the presentation that the investment platform is the core of TMED, you may also have seen that there are a number of other pillars that are supporting the investment platform. So the regulatory accelerator, the clean tech component, the infrastructure component, and the skills component. So on these other pillars, we are working more on the basis of technical assistance support. So that's where we are preparing this TMED facility. But we also have a network and an association of energy regulators that are working on regulatory aspects. We have an association of transmission system operators who are working on infrastructure planning, and we're looking at the clean tech angle to see what kind of support we can offer there. So that is more than the investment platform. Just wanted to add that as well.
Thank you very much. It's great to see that the effort is so complete and immense, and that it's going at all levels. Do we have any additional questions from the audience? 3, 2, 1. No. Then maybe based on the question, Nazanin, do we have a final message to convey for the people in the room?
Thanks a lot. Well, I would just like to thank everyone for their participation. Please do not hesitate to send us your questions, more questions, using our functional mailbox that's mentioned in the call itself, and we'll try to answer your questions as soon as possible. And yeah, we encourage you to apply, to send us your interest, and yeah, we hope that we were clear. Thanks a lot.